boxing.
On the edge. They both scored the round one.
Okay, welcome back to Boxing on the Edge. I hope everyone's doing well. I hope you enjoyed the fight last night. Gary Russell Jr. loses his WBC belt. Mark Magsayo is the new champion. That's the featherweight division. Anticlimactic fight. I think we can all agree on that. Unfortunately, Gary Russell Jr. suffered an injury. I think it was in the 4th round. He had, I guess, an injury coming in, which I've never heard a fighter talk about like that before. That was really strange. And I had no idea that was happening, and obviously he missed weight first time around. So his father was having some health issues, which I was aware of, but he looked like he was in, a positive state of mind regarding that. But it certainly affected his performance. Even after injuring the injury, his timing was a little off, and his inactivity was coming into effect. It's been what, it was a couple of years since he was out the ring. Sometimes with the inactivity that with fighters like Gary Russell Jr., where he's in the gym all the time and he's keeps himself in shape, mentally on point, and he's probably sparring a bit more than normal, and they have that sort of mindset and ability to deal with the time, like Mayweather used to do it coming back from inactivities. But Russell Jr. definitely was struggling with that, and you could see even like his arm, even before he injured it, looked like it was weighing, like he had like a 5-pound dumbbell in there. It was just weighing down, and his jab wasn't as speedy, and I picked him to win on points. But I didn't know about these injuries, like I said. So Magsayo looked big, looked strong, and he was coming forward. And well, they were actually both meeting in the middle at first. Gary Russell Jr. I think made the wrong move by doing that, because he was, they were exchanging a little bit, and Russell Jr. was coming off the worst because his jab wasn't as flashy and as speedy, and he didn't have as much belief in it, and the timing as well. You could see that, but he wasn't also moving out after it. He was just pouring with the jab a little bit, and as I said in my pre-fight video, Magsayo is way better when you come at him and he's got his feet set and he just explodes. And he was timing Gary Russell Jr. He was slipping under the jab, boom, shooting an uppercut. Beautiful stuff, really. They weren't all landing clean or solid shots, but you could see he was having an effect, physically, but mentally. Gary Russell Jr. knew he was up against it in the first 2 or 3 rounds. Like, I think at least from where I was sitting, he looked a bit, I don't want to say concerned, but you could see the size difference. You could see that Magsayo had some power, and he had some ability, but Gary Russell Jr. was playing into his hands by meeting him in the middle. And once, oddly enough, when Russell Jr. got injured, which was I think in the 4th round when he actually landed a jab, he had to resort to using one arm from then on. He only threw one jab after the 4th round. He was having more success because he was going backwards, because he was making Magsayo use his clumsy feet. Magsayo is not a bright fighter. His IQ is quite low, and that was playing a part. And Russell Jr. actually, by the 6th round, Steve Farhood from Showtime had the fight even. But then, I think the right man won. I think it'd be a stretch to say Gary Russell Jr. won this fight. He definitely did not. But like I said, Magsayo is the new champ, and he's an exciting fighter when he's in the right styles, and that is not a good style for him, and he needs to have the fight come to him a little bit. And his jab, I'm not trying to bash him because he's the new champ and he deserves a lot of credit, but his jab needs a lot of work, because he landed 11 jabs out of something like 206. But look, he's obviously got other weapons, and he's got tremendous ability, tremendous power, athleticism, and I said pre-fight his athleticism was going to be a key, or you know, to do that, and actually he improved a lot on his recklessness. He still was at times coming in clumsy and not super reckless, but his footwork just gets caught up with itself, and that leaves openings for Gary Russell Jr. to land sharp, quick shots. And so he's got still more to work. He has done quite well in the few years compared to how reckless he was. His work was a bit tidier, but you know, he looked a bit lost at times in the middle rounds. And then he kind of picked up the pace a little bit towards the end, and the sense of urgency from the corner was, you know, like, you're gonna be a champ, bro, just keep doing this, but you got to put the pressure on. And he did a little bit, and you know, credit to him. But you know, you're fighting a one-armed guy that probably can't hurt you with either. And Gary Russell Jr.'s best punch, let's be honest, it's his jab and his right hook, and they were both taken away from him from the end of the fourth round. And so, you know, there's really only going to be one winner. That would have been a miracle if he really pulled it out. I mean, Russell Jr. fought, he said post-fight that he won the fight. Fair enough, you know, he's entitled to that, but I don't think so. But, you know, you could tell that injury was a problem. He was grimacing. The doctor came to him in the corner, and, you know, he was grimacing in the corner when they were moving it about. Clearly affected the fight. You know, will there be a rematch? Would you like to see a rematch if Gary Russell? I mean, Gary Russell Jr. was saying that was an old injury from 2008, and he was saying he refused to get surgery post fight. You know, he was talking about how this had been an issue, and it's like, he sounds very stubborn. You know, like, I know injuries and getting surgery probably takes him out of the game and out of the gym, and that's probably what he was thinking. And for months, really, probably at least 6 months, you'd probably say. And then even then, the rehab area or time is a bit longer. But you know, would he have done all right, or would he have won the fight had he had a, you know, no injury or limited amount of injury? And you know, we'll never know, I guess, unless they do fight again. But that could be quite a while. But he was having his issues early, and it was because of his tactics, really, and his timing, because of the inactivity. And you know, like, when you're dealing with a fast, explosive guy, they can come out of nowhere and make you feel like you're in a fight straight away. You know, Magsayo was coming under the uppercut, coming under Gary Russell's jab, because it wasn't as sharp and fast, so he's slipping under it and shooting these beautiful uppercuts, and that can make a fighter be very hesitant, or more so. But like I said, when Gary Russell Jr. was going backwards, moving around a little bit, making Magsayo think, and he does not think very well. He's very clumsy and very pondering around on his feet. His footwork needs a lot of work. No, again, I'm not trying to go in on him too much. He's just won a world title, but and you know, I think he'll be one for at least one to watch from, you know, entertainment value. I don't think he'll ever come across somebody that can think and move as well as Gary Russell Jr. Because he's exceptional, really, or he was at that. So, but listen, congratulations to Mark Magsayo. I'll look forward to seeing more of him in world title fights. And you know, he's been improving a lot, but he now has to really improve. You know, I don't necessarily want him to like have a jab game. That's clearly not his game, but he's got to at least practice it a little bit. You've got to get better at your weaker parts in boxing. Okay, you need to improve what you're bad at least get it to a standard where you can use it. You know, and his footwork needs a lot of work. I would work on that if I was him in the gym. And we'll look forward to some really good fights. And yeah, Gary Russell Jr., hope he can, you know, rehabilitate his shoulder, because that looks pretty bad. And yeah, let me know what you guys think. I know there were a lot of people late were picking Magsayo to win. I think people were thinking he was going to win by knockout, which I think people were surprised he won on points. But you know, given how the fight played out with the injury, obviously changed the course of it. So But, you know, I enjoyed it. It was intriguing. You know, I love an intriguing fight when you have a fighter that has to deal with totally different elements, okay? So Magsayo had to deal with the range, and he had to deal with the quick thinking and the movement. And that was a puzzle he had to deal with. And then Russel Jr. had another puzzle, totally different, you know, puzzle to deal with, which was Magsayo's athleticism, his speed, his power, and his size. And it's interesting, you know, I love puzzle. I keep saying the word puzzle, but boxing puzzles, and like the dynamic of a fight like that, where it's like, okay, who's gonna make the right moves, you know? And I said pre-fight it would be a chess game without the pawns. Kind of was a little bit, but you know, like I said, the injury changed the fight. But anyway, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed the fight last night. And this is Boxing on the Edge. I will see you next week. Have a great weekend.